about this definition essay, our next project. I want to kind of just talk about why we do this, why it's relevant. So it's really essential to clear communication because we, a lot of times we use abstract terms when referring to or describing something. And abstract means it's not a tangible thing. It's not something you can pick up and throw. It's basically an idea. So I kind of want to use the example of patriotism as a way to kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about here. So a lot of these abstract terms are kind of culturally high value, okay? So patriotism is a big idea for a lot of people, a lot of countries. However, it is just an idea. It's not really anything that is concrete or solid, okay? So, but the thing is we assume a lot about this word patriotism, and it's kind of the problem when we do this because people have a lot of different ideas about what patriotism is. Okay, so for our purposes, when we write this essay, I want you to keep in mind that it's not important that others agree with our definition. It's really important that at least the other people know exactly what we mean when we use the term. So sometimes we develop arguments to convince others that our definition is the best or the most accurate definition, but that's not really our purpose in this writing project. We're really trying to achieve clarity and understanding, not necessarily persuasion. So patriotism is abstract. It's not physical nor tangible. You can't pick it up, you can't throw it, you can't eat it. In short, it's not concrete, it's an idea or concept. We can express it in some concrete or symbolic ways, such as a flag, American eagle, or a song. However, none of these makes one patriotic or clearly articulates the features that define patriotism or patriotism. Furthermore, since patriotism is an idea, we can only make it more concrete by developing certain criteria by which we define it. So when we're writing an extended definition, you must consider if you need to define the key features or criteria that you select. So for example, if you say patriotism consists of love of country, loyalty, and respect, you've just used three abstract terms as your key features that you're going to have to define. So sometimes when we try to define things, something that's abstract by things that are just as abstract, you know, we have to go ahead and give concrete examples of what those things are. Now, this may sound like it's a complicated thing, but if you write it in the essay, it's kind of a good thing because this really gives you content because you can go in and you can give examples of what it is you mean. So, for example, a lot of people say, okay, so one feature is, okay, it's love of country. Well, so love is an incredibly abstract concept. It's not even a real thing. Real in the sense that it's tangible, okay? So how do you show love for your country? You buy it flowers or a Hallmark card? Well, clearly it's nuts. But the point is you need to come up with some specific examples that you think clearly illustrate or demonstrate what you mean by love of country. The same is true of the features mentioned above. So you can use features that are more concrete to define an abstract concept. So for example, I would define patriotism with at least two specific concrete features. So the first one would be that it requires one participate in the functioning of our country. One way to do that is to vote. Matter of fact, I think it's essential. It's a core responsibility or even obligation of a citizen to at least vote. If one's old enough to register to vote, he or she should register. Furthermore, if one's registered to vote, he or she should vote. This is essential if one claims to be patriotic. Now, keep in mind, you may not agree with that. A lot of people might not agree with it. And that is not really the point. The point is, when I say patriotism, you know that I think participation is one of the central features. Now, if I wanted to further argue that, I could, but we're not really going to do that in this essay. Then I would have to give reasons why I'm right. Here, I'm just trying to explain to you, if I'm defining patriotism, here's one feature. And I would have to develop these a little bit more. I'm just kind of giving you the shorthand here. So if we look at feature 2, patriotism requires that one criticizes or even protests if he or she feels that a government entity is abusing its power, making a detrimental decision, acting in a corrupt manner, generally acting against the best interests of the citizens. This feature is so essential it's clearly addressed in the U.S. Bill of Rights. And I would have to probably go on and explain more about this, but I think this is enough to give you the idea. Neither one of these are actually fully developed paragraphs, but it's a good start, and we can develop these a little bit more. The point I want to make here is I'm not trying to persuade anybody that I'm right. I'm just trying to let people know is if I say patriotism, these two features are very, very important to my definition of it. You may have other ideas about that, but this is one point of view. And what that does is at the end of the day, we really just want to be clear. We want to go, okay, so if I'm writing an essay and there's some abstract term, I should probably define it. And I'm defining it just simply because, all right, you may not agree with me, but you know what I mean when I say this. I think this is kind of central to a lot of things, and that's really what we're trying to kind of practice in this essay. So I just kind of wanted to use this as an opportunity to kind of talk about it and explain exactly what I'm looking for here.